First contact gone wrong. Maya Patel's diplomatic training hadn't prepared her for this. The stark white holding cell hummed with an otherworldly energy that made her skin tingle, while the crystalline walls seemed to pulse with an inner light. She'd spent the last 3 hours trying to make sense of how a routine first contact mission had gone so catastrophically wrong. The Arcturi ship had appeared without warning in Earth's orbit, its massive form casting shadows over major cities. As Earth's leading xenolinguist and cultural specialist, Maya had been chosen to make first contact. Everything had gone smoothly at first. She'd successfully decoded their basic communication patterns and established a preliminary dialogue. Then something changed. One moment she was discussing cultural exchange protocols, the next she was being treated like a dangerous predator. The cell door shimmered, and a tall figure stepped through. The alien's iridescent scales shifted colors in the artificial light, and 4 gleaming eyes studied Maya with obvious distrust. Unlike the other Arcturi Maya had seen, this one wore elaborate ceremonial armor that marked her as someone of high rank. "I am High Commander Vextera," the alien announced, her translator converting the clicks and whistles into crisp English. "You will explain why your kind concealed their true nature from us." Maya stood slowly, keeping her movements deliberate and non-threatening. "I don't understand. We've been completely transparent in all our communications." Vextera's upper eyes narrowed while her lower set remained fixed on Maya's hands, as if expecting her to suddenly sprout claws. "Our deep space scans revealed the truth. Your world is littered with weapons of mass destruction. Your history is soaked in the blood of countless wars. Your entertainment glorifies violence. You are predators wearing the mask of diplomacy." "You're not wrong about our history," Maya admitted, choosing honesty over defense. "Humanity has made many mistakes. We've hurt each other and our world. But that's exactly why we reached for the stars, to learn, to grow, to be better." The commander's scales rippled with skepticism. Pretty words from a species that splits atoms to make weapons. "The same technology that created those weapons now powers our hospitals and cities," Maya countered. "We learned from our mistakes. The same drive that once pushed us to conflict now pushes us to explore, to understand, to connect with others." "And yet you bare your teeth when you speak," Vextera observed, gesturing to Maya's slight smile. Maya consciously relaxed her expression, remembering how many Earth species viewed bared teeth as aggression. In human culture, showing teeth, smiling, is a sign of friendship and peace. Cultural differences like this are exactly why dialogue is so important. The commander moved closer, her towering form making Maya feel small but not intimidated. "You claim to seek peace, yet your own data streams show humans imagining conflicts with alien species. Preparing for war with the unknown. We imagine the worst so we can prepare for it," Maya explained, "but we hope for the best. Those same stories often end with understanding and cooperation. They help us process our fears and overcome them." Vextera's scales shifted to a deeper blue, a color Maya hadn't seen before. "You speak like a scholar, not a warrior. Yet your species' capacity for violence cannot be ignored." "Then don't ignore it," Maya said. "Study it. Understand it. But also understand that the same passion that drove us to violence also drives us to create art, to make music, to explore the universe, and to reach out to other species like yours." The commander was silent for a long moment, all 4 eyes studying Maya with an intensity that made her feel like a specimen under a microscope. Finally, she spoke, "You will be tested, Maya Patel. Your actions, not your words, will reveal the truth about your species." As Vextera turned to leave, Maya called out, "Commander, may I ask you something?" The alien paused, turning slightly. "What made you fear us so quickly? What did we do wrong?" The commander's scales rippled again, this time with what might have been uncertainty. "It was not what you did. It was what we saw in you, a reflection of our own violent past, a past we have tried very hard to forget." With that, she was gone, leaving Maya alone with the realization that perhaps the Arcturi's fear of humanity had more to do with their own history than humanity's. She sat back down, mind racing. If the Arcturi saw themselves in humanity's violent past, maybe they could also see themselves in humanity's journey toward peace. It wasn't much, but it was a start, a small crack in the wall of fear between their species. Breaking through barriers. Maya's cell had been upgraded. Instead of the Stark containment chamber, she now found herself in what appeared to be a research observation room. The walls still pulsed with that strange bioluminescent energy, but now they were covered in shifting displays of Earth transmissions, everything from nature documentaries to news broadcasts to military training videos. Commander Vexterra stood before one of the displays, her scales shifting through shades of purple as she watched footage of a human relief mission after a natural disaster. Maya had begun to recognize the commander's color changes as emotional indicators, though their exact meanings remained a mystery. "Your people rushed toward the danger," Vexterra observed, gesturing to the video of rescue workers diving into floodwaters. "Why?" "To save lives," Maya replied simply. "It's what we do." "Even at risk to themselves?" The commander's lower eyes blinked in sequence. "This behavior seems inconsistent with a predator species." Maya approached carefully, noting how the guards at the door tensed. "Maybe that's because you're looking at us through the wrong lens. Humans can be predators, yes. We can be dangerous. But we're also protectors, healers, builders." The display shifted to footage of a war zone. "And this?" Vexterra challenged. "How do you explain such destruction?" "I don't try to explain it away," Maya said quietly. "That's part of us too. But look closer." She pointed to the medical personnel running through gunfire to reach the wounded. "Even in our darkest moments, you'll find people trying to help, trying to heal." The commander's scales rippled with what Maya was beginning to recognize as thoughtfulness. "You are a contradiction. All sentient species are, I imagine." Maya glanced at the commander. "Even the Arcturi." Vexterra's scales flashed briefly to a startling white before settling back to their normal iridescent sheen. "You know nothing of our species." "I know you're afraid of what we might become because you see yourselves in us," Maya pressed. "Which means you've walked this path before. You've evolved beyond violence, but you remember what it was like." The commander was silent for a long moment. Finally, she touched a control panel, and a new image appeared, an alien world devastated by what appeared to be orbital bombardment. "This was Arctura Prime, our homeworld, 5 centuries ago. We nearly destroyed ourselves in a war that lasted 3 generations." Maya studied the haunting image. "But you survived. You rebuilt." "We did more than survive," Vexterra said, her voice taking on a new tone. "We transformed our entire society. Violence became taboo. Aggression was bred out of our species through genetic engineering. We became what we needed to be to survive. And now you see humanity standing at a similar crossroads," Maya realized. "Your species reminds us too much of what we once were," the commander admitted. "Passionate. Aggressive. Dangerous." Maya turned to face Vexterra directly. "Then help us. Share your wisdom. Guide us. Isn't that better than fearing us?" Before the commander could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The displays flickered, and Vexterra's scales shifted to a deep red as she received information through her neural link. "What's happening?" Maya asked, watching as the guards rushed to battle stations. "We've detected a quantum surge in the Helios sector," Vexterra explained tersely. "A human mining colony is about to be hit with a radiation wave that will kill everyone on the surface." Maya's heart raced. "How long do they have?" "Minutes. Our ships are too far to evacuate them." The commander's scales were now pulsing between red and blue. "This is not our concern. They are not our people." "They're my people," Maya said firmly. And you have the power to help them. What you do next will tell me everything I need to know about the Arcturi. Vextera's 4 eyes fixed on Maya, studying her with an intensity that seemed to pierce straight through to her soul. You would use this crisis to test us? No, Maya replied. I'm giving you the chance to prove that you've truly evolved beyond your violent past. That you can do more than just fear and condemn those who remind you of it. The commander's scales shifted through colors so quickly they became a blur. She moved to a control panel, her fingers dancing across the interface. The mining colony has basic radiation shielding, she said, her voice clipped and professional. If we could boost their power output by 30%, they might survive long enough for help to arrive. Let me help, Maya offered. I know human technology. Together, we might find a solution. Vextera paused, all 4 eyes blinking in unison. Then, to Maya's surprise, she nodded. Very well. Show me that humanity's drive can be used for more than destruction. As they rushed to find a way to save the colony, Maya realized they had reached a crucial turning point. This crisis would either prove humanity's worth to the Arcturi or confirm their worst fears. Everything depended on what happened next. Test of trust. The Arcturi command center hummed with tense energy as Maya and Commander Vextera worked to save the mining colony. Holographic displays showed the approaching radiation wave, its deadly energy roiling like a crimson storm across space. The colony's shields won't hold, an Arcturi technician reported, their scales a pale yellow of distress. Even with maximum power redistribution, they'll fail within 7 minutes. Maya studied the colony's schematics floating before her. What if we didn't try to strengthen their shields, she suggested. What if we used your ship's gravitational fields to deflect the radiation instead? Vextera's scales shifted to deep blue. Our ship's defensive systems aren't designed for that kind of operation. The stress could tear us apart. But it could work. Maya pressed. Theoretically. The commander's lower eyes narrowed. But it would require us to drop our own shields. If the gravitational field fails, everyone on this ship would die. Maya met all 4 of Vextera's eyes. You said you wanted to test humanity's nature. Well, now I'm testing yours. Are you willing to risk your lives to save others? The command center fell silent. The Arcturi crew's scales rippled with various colors, communicating emotions Maya couldn't begin to interpret. Vextera stood motionless, her own scales cycling through deep shades of blue and purple. Finally, the commander spoke. Begin emergency protocols. Divert all power to the gravitational field generators. Alert the colony to prepare for emergency maneuvers. As the crew rushed to comply, Maya felt a new respect for the Arcturi commander. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Vextera replied grimly. This plan of yours is either brilliant or suicidal. Perhaps both. The next few minutes were a blur of activity. Maya worked alongside the Arcturi engineers, helping them modify their systems to create a massive gravitational deflection field. The ship groaned as its systems were pushed beyond their designed limits. Wave impact in 30 seconds, announced a technician. Vextera moved to stand beside Maya. If this fails, neither of our species will consider it a great loss. Just another example of human recklessness and Arcturi foolishness. And if it works, Maya countered, it proves that both our species are capable of more than anyone expected. The radiation wave hit like a physical blow. The ship shuddered, its biomechanical systems screaming in protest. Maya watched in awe as the gravitational field bent the deadly energy around both vessels, creating a protective bubble of warp space. Shield integrity at 20%, called out an engineer. The field is holding, but the strain on the generators is critical. Maya grabbed a nearby console as the ship lurched violently. How much longer? 3 minutes until the wave passes, Vextera answered, her scales now a deep crimson of effort as she used her neural link to help control the ship's systems. But the generators won't last that long. They don't have to, Maya realized, studying the data streams. Look, the wave is already weakening. If we can hold out for just 90 more seconds, the colony's own shields can handle the remainder. Those 90 seconds felt like an eternity. Warning alarms blared as systems throughout the ship began to fail. The biomechanical walls pulsed erratically, their usual steady glow now sporadic and dim. Maya found herself holding her breath, silently willing the generators to hold just a little longer. Finally, blessedly, the wave passed. The ship's systems slowly stabilized, and a cheer went up from the colony's communication channel. They had survived. Maya sagged against a console in relief, then noticed Vexterra watching her with an unreadable expression. The commander's scales had settled into a new color she'd never seen before, a soft, luminescent silver. You risked everything on an untested theory, Vexterra said quietly. Why? Because it was the right thing to do, Maya replied simply. And because I believed that deep down, the Arcturi would choose to help if given the chance. Even though we imprisoned you? Even though we judged your entire species as dangerous? Maya smiled gently. Especially because of that. You feared us because you saw your past selves in us. I hoped that meant you'd also understand our potential to change, to grow, to become more than what we are. The commander was silent for a long moment. Then, to Maya's surprise, she touched a control panel, and the subtle energy field that had been constantly monitoring Maya's movements disappeared. Perhaps, Vexterra said, her scales rippling with what might have been amusement, we both had something to learn about judging others. As Maya looked around the command center, she saw the Arcturi crew watching her with new expressions. Their scales showed colors she hadn't seen before, and their postures seemed more relaxed. Something had shifted fundamentally in their perspective. So what happens now? Maya asked. Vexterra's scales shifted to that silvery hue again. Now, Maya Patel, we talk. Really talk. About your species, about ours, and about the future we might build together. Understanding the other. The observation deck of the Arcturi vessel offered a breathtaking view of Earth below. Maya stood beside Commander Vexterra, both of them watching the blue planet spin slowly beneath them. After the mining colony rescue, everything had changed. Maya was no longer a prisoner but a guest, and the Arcturi's attitude toward humanity had begun to shift. Your world is beautiful, Vexterra observed, her scales shimmering with a peaceful aquamarine hue. Though I notice you've positioned most of your orbital defense platforms on the dark side. Maya smiled. Old habits die hard. But those same platforms also track space debris and protect ships from solar flares. Like humanity itself, they can defend or protect, depending on how they're used. The commander's lower eyes blinked thoughtfully. We've been analyzing your historical records. Your species has a remarkable capacity for adaptation. In less than a century, you went from primitive atmospheric flight to interstellar travel. We're driven, Maya acknowledged. Sometimes that drive leads us to create weapons, but it also pushes us to cure diseases, explore new worlds, and reach out to other species. A group of Arcturi scientists passed by, their scales flickering with curious colors as they nodded respectfully to Maya. She'd begun to recognize more of their color language, the deep purple of contemplation, the bright green of discovery, the warm gold of approval. Your understanding of our chromatic communication is improving, Vexterra noted, her own scales shifting to an impressed amber. I'm a xenolinguist, Maya replied. Understanding different forms of communication is my passion. Though I admit, your species presents unique challenges. We humans rely so much on facial expressions and vocal tones. Yes, your constant mouth movements were quite disturbing at first, the commander admitted, her scales flickering with what Maya now recognized as amusement. We thought you were displaying aggression, but now we understand your smiles are meant to convey friendship." Maya laughed. Cultural misunderstandings like that are exactly why direct contact between species is so important. We can learn so much from each other. Vexterra led them to a different section of the ship, where a holographic display showed various human technological achievements alongside Arcturi innovations. "Our scientists are particularly interested in your adaptive problem-solving abilities. The solution you proposed during the radiation crisis, it would never have occurred to us." "Because you're more advanced?" Maya asked. "Because we think differently," Vexterra corrected. "When we engineered aggression out of our species, we also dampened certain creative impulses. We became more logical, more methodical. But we lost something too, the ability to make intuitive leaps, to think outside established parameters." Maya studied the commander's expression. "You're not just talking about technology anymore, are you?" Vexterra's scales shifted to a deep, thoughtful blue. "The Arcturi Council has been discussing your species' potential. We've spent centuries isolating ourselves, fearing that contact with more aggressive species would corrupt our carefully engineered peace. But perhaps we were wrong." "How so?" "Your solution to save the mining colony required both human intuition and Arcturi technology. Neither species could have succeeded alone." The commander's scales rippled with new colors: hope, possibility, future. "Perhaps instead of fearing humanity's capacity for violence, we should be learning from your capacity for growth." A sudden commotion interrupted their conversation. An Arcturi officer rushed in, their scales an alarming shade of red. "Commander! We're detecting multiple quantum signatures approaching Earth's orbit. They match the radiation wave's energy pattern." Vexterra's scales instantly shifted to alert crimson. "How many?" "7 distinct signatures, all moving at superluminal speeds. They'll reach Earth's orbit in less than 6 hours." Maya felt her heart race. "You think these aren't natural phenomena?" "No," Vexterra said grimly. "The pattern is too precise. These are weapons, quantum destabilizers designed to make a planet uninhabitable." Her scales darkened. "We've seen them before, during our own war. Someone is targeting Earth." Maya stared at the tactical display in horror. "Can we stop them?" "Not alone," the commander replied. "But together." Her scales shifted through colors of determination and resolve. "Maya, I need you to contact Earth's defense forces immediately. If we're going to save your world, we'll need to combine human ingenuity with Arcturi technology once again." As they rushed to the command center, Maya realized that this crisis would be the ultimate test of the trust building between their species. The fate of Earth would depend on how well humanity and the Arcturi could work together, and whether their newfound understanding could withstand the pressures of imminent war. Bridge between worlds. The Arcturi Command Center had transformed into a joint operations hub. Human military officers worked alongside Arcturi technicians, their different approaches to problem-solving creating an atmosphere of controlled chaos. Maya watched as Commander Vexterra coordinated with Earth's defense forces, her scales shifting between Command Red and Strategic Blue. "The quantum destabilizers will reach firing range in 30 minutes, an Arcturi sensor officer reported, their scales pulsing with urgency. "We've confirmed their automated weapons platforms, no crew to negotiate with." Maya studied the tactical display. "These weapons, you said you've encountered them before." "In our ancient war," Vexterra confirmed, her scales darkening. "They were the final weapons our species created before we chose to change our nature. We thought we had destroyed them all. Evidently, some survived," Maya mused. "But who would have access to them? Who would want to target Earth?" The commander's 4 eyes narrowed in concentration. "During our war, we established weapons caches throughout this sector of space. Perhaps someone found one," Maya finished. "But that doesn't explain why they'd target us specifically." A human admiral spoke up from his communication screen. Commander Vexterra, our analysis suggests these weapons are following a preset attack pattern. They're not just targeting Earth, they're systematically targeting all inhabited worlds in this sector. Vexterra's scales flashed with revelation. Of course. These are autonomous cleansing protocols. We programmed them to eliminate all potentially aggressive species in the event our civilization fell. Her scales rippled with shame. They must have remained dormant until now. Until they detected significant technological advancement in this sector, Maya realized. Our recent expansion into space probably triggered them. The weapons were designed to be unstoppable, Vexterra said grimly. No single defense could overcome them. Maya caught the specific wording. But what about multiple defenses? Different approaches combined? The commander's scales shifted to thoughtful purple. Explain. You said human creativity and Arcturi technology saved the mining colony. Why not apply the same principle here? Maya moved to the tactical display. Your ships have the most advanced shields in known space. Our weapons platforms have innovative targeting systems. If we combine them. Vexterra's scales brightened. Yes. Yes. We could use your platforms to target the weapon's quantum matrices while our shields contain the resulting energy discharge. The next 20 minutes were a blur of coordination and preparation. Human defense platforms were quickly modified with Arcturi shielding technology, while Arcturi ships integrated human targeting systems. It was a desperate gamble, but it represented something more, the first true collaboration between their species. As the quantum destabilizers entered range, Maya stood beside Vexterra at the command console. The commander's scales had settled into a steady silver of focus and determination. All ships, commence firing sequence, Vexterra ordered. Target the lead weapon first. Coordinate shield harmonics with human defense grid. The space around Earth lit up with combined human and Arcturi fire. The first quantum destabilizer shattered under the assault, its energy safely contained by Arcturi shields. One by one, the remaining weapons were destroyed, each explosion contained and neutralized by their joint defense. When the last weapon was destroyed, a cheer went up from both human and Arcturi crews. Maya felt tears in her eyes as she watched the tactical display clear. They had done it. Together. Vexterra turned to her, scales shimmering with colors Maya had never seen before, joy, pride, and something deeper. It seems we were both right, the commander said softly. Your species' capacity for violence gave you the strength to fight. But your capacity for cooperation saved us all. Maya smiled. And your species' dedication to peace didn't make you weak, it gave you the wisdom to know when to trust, when to adapt, and when to change. The commander's scales settled into that now familiar silver. The Arcturi Council has reached a decision. We would like to establish a permanent alliance with Earth. Not as superior beings offering guidance, but as equals who can learn from each other. I think Earth will be very interested in that proposal, Maya replied. We have so much to learn from each other. Your technology, our creativity. Your wisdom, our adaptability. Perhaps, Vexterra suggested, her scales rippling with possibility, this is how species truly evolve, not by eliminating their nature, but by learning to understand and balance it. By finding strength in their differences rather than fearing them. As Maya looked out at Earth below, now protected by both human and Arcturi ships, she felt a profound sense of hope. What had begun as fear and mistrust had transformed into something remarkable, a bridge between worlds, a partnership of equals, and a future neither species could have imagined alone. Together then, she asked. Vexterra's scales shimmered with all the colors of trust, hope, and friendship. Together.